You know, I've heard a lot of stories over the years about roommate conflicts. The dirty dishes, the passive-aggressive notes, the stolen leftovers. But this one caught my attention because it's about what happens when someone decides they've had enough. So let me tell you about a woman we'll call our narrator, her two longtime friends, and the roommate who changed everything. Our narrator had been living peacefully in a shared house for about 3 months with two close guy friends. They had a system that worked: clean up after yourself, do a weekly deep clean together, respect each other's things. Simple, right? When the fourth room opened up, she was actually excited to have another woman in the mix, someone to balance out the dynamic. That excitement lasted about 30 seconds. The new roommate's first words weren't, "Hi, nice to meet you," or even just hello. They were, "What are your plans to clean this place up?" Think about that for a moment. Not a greeting, not an introduction, just immediate judgment of a space she'd been in for all of 5 minutes. Our narrator, trying to be gracious, walked her through their cleaning routine, which, by the way, was happening the very next day. She showed her around, explained what belonged to whom, what was shared, gave her space to settle in. And that's when the real problems started. The next morning, they found their dishes and utensils dirty, half-washed, still covered in food and stains. The new roommate had helped herself to their things without asking and couldn't be bothered to clean them properly. This happened multiple times before one of the guys gently reminded her that using their stuff was fine, but she needed to actually wash things when she was done. Here's what came next. She didn't apologize. She didn't acknowledge the reasonable request. Instead, she screamed at our narrator for 15 minutes straight, even though our narrator wasn't even the one who brought it up. Her accusation? That our narrator was trying to look good in front of the boys. These boys, who had been her close friends for years. There's something really vulnerable happening underneath all of this. Someone so defensive they can't hear a simple boundary without turning it into an attack. And this was just the beginning. Over the next 7 months, the list of grievances grew. The new roommate monopolized the clothes drying racks 5 days a week, leaving no space for the 3 other people in the house. She continued using their dishes without cleaning them. She cracked the wood on their chopping boards by using them as makeshift lids for hot frying pans. Think about that level of carelessness. She left her hair scattered across the bathroom and kitchen floors. She took up all the freezer space, leaving our narrator with none. She left the microwave and air fryer filthy after every use. But wait, it gets worse. She left urine and period blood on the toilet seat, and she took our narrator's pads, tampons, and razors without asking. Personal hygiene products. Just helped herself. And these were just a quarter of the issues they dealt with. Every time they tried to address something, the anger came straight at our narrator. Not at the guys, just her. The house, which had been in decent shape before, was now in the worst condition it had ever been. And the new roommate's solution? Complain about the mess, 90% of which was obviously hers, demand that everyone send her money to buy cleaning products they already had plenty of, and then refuse to help with the weekly cleaning day. Notice what's actually driving this. It's worth looking at. Someone moves into a functional household, disrupts every system in place, refuses accountability, and then projects all the blame outward. This is the moment where everyone's just trying to protect themselves, and our narrator and her friends had finally had enough. When our narrator got a new job opportunity, the 3 of them saw their opening. They found a 3-bedroom flat they could rent as a whole unit and planned to move out the following week. No more room-by-room chaos. No more trying to reason with someone who wouldn't listen. But here's the thing. 90% of everything in that house belonged to the 3 of them. The toaster, the microwave, the kettle, the drying racks, the air fryer, the pots and pans, the iron, the vacuum, almost every basic necessity that made the house functional, they had paid for it, and our narrator decided something. She wasn't going to tell the new roommate they were leaving. At this point, the guys refused to communicate with the new roommate at all, for various other reasons our narrator didn't even detail, so everything went through her. And she was done. Done trying to be reasonable, done trying to maintain peace, done giving someone who had shown zero consideration for others any more of her emotional energy. So the plan was simple. Let the new roommate figure it out when she noticed people coming for viewings, or when the moving van showed up. Whichever came first. Now, our narrator made it clear, this wasn't about leaving the roommate homeless or stuck with higher rent. Because it was a room-by-room rental situation, the new roommate's rent and bills wouldn't change. The landlord was handling the viewings for the empty rooms. She wasn't being financially harmed. She just wasn't going to have a toaster, or a microwave, or pots to cook with, or a vacuum to clean with, not that she'd been helping with that anyway. Our narrator wasn't worried about taking her things, she paid for them, same with the guys. This was about the fact that the new roommate would have absolutely no warning, that nearly every household basic and furnishing was about to disappear. And that's when our narrator asked the question, was she wrong for not telling her? You know what struck me about this? It's not really about the stuff. It's about the exhaustion of trying to be kind to someone who mistakes kindness for weakness. There's a real human need here that's worth examining, the need to feel respected in your own home. And when that's violated over and over, when your boundaries are ignored and your belongings are damaged and your patience is exploited, at some point you stop owing someone your consideration. Did the new roommate deserve a heads up? Technically, maybe. But after 7 months of disrespect, after stolen personal items and screaming matches, and refusal to contribute or clean or even acknowledge basic decency, I think our narrator had already given her more grace than most people would have. That's what makes this story so human. We're all doing the best we can with what we have. And sometimes the best we can do is walk away quietly, take what's ours, and let someone else finally deal with the consequences of their own choices. Because understanding doesn't fix everything, but it does change how we see it. And what I see here is someone who finally chose herself after months of being the emotional punching bag. So if you've ever been in a situation where you had to decide between being nice and protecting your peace, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Was our narrator in the wrong, or was this exactly the wake-up call the roommate needed? And if this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button because there are so many more stories like this one, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. Title suggestions primary. She screamed at me for 7 months, so I left without warning and took everything Alt 1. Roommate from hell finds out the hard way what happens when you push too far Alt 2. I let my nightmare roommate discover I'm gone when the moving van arrives Alt 3. We're taking the toaster, microwave, and everything else. She'll find out when we're gone.